All right, every time I see a quote from the president commenting on something, I always feel compelled to do his voice. But I won't do that. But anyway, he said that's very dangerous, what these social media companies are doing. He, of course, has been a very big critic that they skew liberal and they really punish conservative thought, thinking, points of view. And if they don't change, he says maybe ultimately it will be up to him. To tech analyst in Wishingrad, we've also got Fox Business's Christina Parts-Nevelis on how far the government goes. What do you think, Christina? What are you hearing?
What am I hearing? It's a constant debate that everybody seems to be having at the moment. I don't necessarily believe that government should be stepping in, but I do believe there needs to be a body. And Zuckerberg himself even said it not too long ago that it's inevitable that regulation is going to come. Do we let them do it? No, I don't necessarily think that's the right way, because even they took down some police brutality videos a while back, and then everybody, there's a huge backlash against that because of the violence in the videos. There's a very, very thin line, and you know, with pornography, do you take down images of breast cancer survivors or a woman breastfeeding because the breasts are on air? You know, there's all these ifs. That's why I do believe there needs to be a body, but I don't necessarily believe it should be the government.
My only worry with this, and I try to look at this agnostically, that I do feel there's more zeal to take down conservative sites than liberal ones, for whatever reason. Now, people like Dorsey over Twitter say, well, you know, that's my bias. I'm very cognizant of it. I try to police it and watch it, but they almost can't help themselves. So I'm wondering then, conservatives who feel that they're being hosed by social media giants, where is their relief?
Well, I think, remember, these platforms are set up to be businesses. And so no different than Fox is a business and wants to do things that are friendly for advertisers.
But even Bill Maher says Alex Jones has a right to, you can hear his crazy views. And by the way, he's obnoxious in every sense. But what do you think of that? Or should the government just let that all get out there?
Well, it depends on, I agree with Christina on how the government tends to intervene here. But the truth is they own their channel, their Facebook, their Twitter. They have the right to police that as they see fit. They have to appeal to stockholders and to their users. And if certain things are hurting users, hurting the platform, they have the right to police it as such. I agree that Zuckerberg said, yeah, it's inevitable. We're going to have someone come and intervene. And it's no different.
Well, that's because he screwed up.
Yeah. But it's really hard to police something like this. There's no algorithm at this point. There's always a judgment call. And I think when you have a certain demographic that's coastal where these come from, there tends to be a liberal bias. But I'm not really sure how you remedy that.
I do get nervous with the government deciding how you do it. And I don't care whether that government is under liberal control or conservative control. So what's the answer?
Well, you have the Federal Reserve as an example. They're supposed to act independently. You have the president weighing in. Those should be two separate entities. When you have monetary policy, separate. So when it comes to these tech companies, maybe we need to redefine what they're called. Are they publishers now? Are they content providers? If so, then they are held even more accountable. Just like our organization, Fox, we are held accountable for the content that comes out. We want it to be accurate. We backtrack and apologize if we made a mistake. When it comes to Facebook, those algorithms right now, put revenue ahead of truth. And
some would argue that the actual talk about whatever bias you want, it was social media that helped get the president's message out more than traditional media.
You're right.
So it wound up helping him more than hurting him.
But can you police the thoughts of your users? I mean, there are a lot of people who write this show and say very nasty things about me and hurt my feelings, make me want to cry. And that's just from my director here. But there are others who, like to your analogy with Fox and what we present, the professionals or whatever, but our viewers are right and have the freedom to comment on everything we do.
I know, we get it on Twitter.
Right? So that is what some people read those comments and accept them as fact and at face value. Did you let that go?
I think it's a tough decision, but I tend to agree that what they wind up doing is they keep wanting to hew to whatever's friendliest for advertisers. The platforms have always struggled to prove their value per se, and that's why if you see YouTube, they create a next level of premium content. The ad buyers are used to spending dollars in traditional media, so if you're trying to court them, you want to make a very brand-safe environment. You see all these news stories.
But if it's too vanilla, no one's going to be interested, right?
Fair enough, but I think then they get slapped for spreading fake news, and they go, what happened here? year. All these bots went out of control, and there's a lot of proliferation of bad information, so they have to
because
police.
Conservatives say the alternative that they're presenting is fake news.
Why don't we treat those advertising ads as like we do with the political campaigns? The fact that there's the Federal Election Committee that says you need to show who's financed those ads. So why don't we start doing that on these platforms as well? So we know at the bottom of the screen, that donut ad comes from somebody that maybe I don't, like, that I'm unaware of. And I think that transparency is an issue.
Why are you picking on donut ads?
I don't know. It was the first thing.
It would be a pretty bad donut ad if you didn't know who brought it by.
Okay, yeah, that was a poor example.
You want to make sure it's Dunkin'.
I'm actually hungry, so maybe that's why it was the first thing that came in mind. It was a poor example, but overall, I do think that transparency needs to come out, and that's the issue. These social media companies are facing all of this for the first time, and they're grappling with how to improve it. Should they be regulating? No. I think it should still be an outside body of stakeholders that have an interest, including maybe a government official.
And also, remember, the reason they pick on Alex Jones is he has a real audience. He has a real following. People like him. There's probably a million other people, mini versions of him, that if they shut them off, we would never hear. They wouldn't break above the fray.
Where do you draw the line with what's certifiably crazy?
Right. My only point is that you have the right to say whatever you want in this country. He has the right to build his own platform. He has the right to go make his own. Build your own platform. But Twitter and Facebook don't need to have you, or YouTube or whatever. That's their prerogative.
So maybe that will be the
100%
middle ground.
Yeah. If you have an audience and you build them on one platform. The platform shuts you down for just or unjust reasons, and then you migrate and tell your fans, "I'm over here now." The way the guy went to the Blaze or whatever. You bring your audience with you.
Right. Glenn Beck. That's interesting how tragic his fall has come, that you just say, yeah, the guy that went to the Blaze. All right, we'll see. It's anyone's guess what's going to happen. Not a guess.